The survey, I believe, is anonymous.
It is.
It is anonymous, yes.
Absolutely
It's
anonymous. No
anonymous.
email, nothing is being collected.
So they won't consider as a test?
No.
Okay.
Will not affect their graduation.
Not only that, it's collected
You
from
will-
several classes.
Yeah.
So you don't keep track of which section are you from, which class. So-
And the only thing which Qualtrics keeps track of is basically the time it was submitted. And I think, you could get information like IP address if you wanted, but other than that, it's completely anonymous, yeah.
Is it right before the final exam or after the final exam? They don't,
Whenever they want to do it.
Whenever they want to do it, yeah.
during the last month of the senior year or?
I think that's when we send it, right?
So what happens is that it collects their knowledge from 311, 131, 315, so anytime they want to do it, they can do it. Because it's not to a specific course, therefore we doesn't need to have the knowledge of that course in order to answer.
Okay, so they can do it anytime.
They can do it anytime,
Yeah.
but they should be senior graduating. Because
Okay.
we don't have a way of targeting the students.
Okay.
Then we just send to the, I believe, 440 and 315, and so we just select the courses which are terminal courses and we send it to them.
Okay.
That's all.
And you will also get a copy of the link as well. So if you have any graduating seniors in your class, you can, ask them, hey, did you fill this out? Or you can, just blast it to your class. And if you're a graduating senior, please fill this in.
And they can fill it in multiple times, they should not do that, we specifically tell them not to do that. So we don't even check, like, if they have, there was a way of checking whether they have completed once or twice, but we do not want to collect any identifiable information. So we just do that.
440 usually is the last course they take, so.
Yeah, but there are grad students and they should not do it.
Right. Only seniors.
Yes, only.
I think, David?
My question was answered.
Oh, okay.
I have a question for Ian.
Oh, go ahead.
So are we
Yeah, go ahead.
Are we in the question and answer session?
Yeah, I think we finished up the presentation,
Yes, yeah.
so we can share some question.
So one of the things, I had a question, you had shown like it's really important to collect the data, but not everyone is doing it.
Yes,
And so the computer science department has a lot of part-time faculty,
yes.
and so we're inundated with email as well. And I don't know if I get an email from some faculty member that I never heard of what your importance is, and that I'm supposed to follow your instructions. So I look, for example, if Dr. Wu sends me an email, I read it. When Dr. Cho was the chair, when he sends me an email, I read it. Since I know you, Fiona, if you send me an email, I read it. But what
In
I'm
fact,
saying,
he was the only one to report data for that semester for 313.
Oh, was that?
So I should take
but-
out for lunch.
but what I was going to recommend is everybody has to submit their syllabus. And on that form, you could say, for example, if you're changing what the PIs are you aware that the PIs changed for this year? Yes or no? And then that would bring it to their attention because I'm not going to know that they changed. If I taught the same course for like 10 years and you changed the PIs this year, I'm going to stick with my old PIs and not and think that I did it right. And then you could ask them, did you validate, or maybe you put a question that says, here's the link to where the repository is, and are you aware you have to submit your data by this date? Because if you give people a date, they know they're responsible to submit it, whereas if you kind of let it open-ended, you might get it and you might not.
So what we did to this regard and start doing it, it was a little bit of work. Michael started included when in the welcome semester that the assessment data would be coming from one of the assessment committees. Unfortunately, while the department chair, you know it well in advance who it is, we do not know the assessment committee until the first faculty meeting of the semester. And then we do not know who is responsible for what until 3 weeks in the semester.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe what we could do, bless you, what we could do is that we can include a link, the CS, if you, for the CS, for the assessment, more details follow on this, and then we can create a Google Doc. And then depending on when we populate the Google Doc, you have access to it anytime. So you may receive an email at the beginning of the semester with a link, but that link becomes active later in the semester, because we changed. Last semester, last year, I was the chair, and we had we were 3 in total, 4 in total. This semester we are more, and being it's the first time doing it, so we don't know. Now, the Abbott luckily changes, they have not changed this performance indicator in the past maybe 6 or 7 years. So now we have a change, and we are the one to be screwed on it, because they changed it this year, and if you would have had an Abbott visit this semester, or I believe next year, you are still okay with the old ones, but because we are scheduled in 2020, we have to change them all. So it's a good idea to include that
I
part, but
think-
we don't know who is what, doing
Yeah,
what.
yeah, I think that's an excellent idea. I think what we can do, to build a process, so maybe we can establish like a one-page information sheet.
Yeah.
So every semester, we send that to all the part-time faculty, list all the courses, the indicators, and also all the dates, when we need to what, and also, this sounds like I'm learning too, excellent. It looks like the PI or the metric dictate the content. So from the presentation, I see if you don't understand the PI, then it's gonna be hard for you to plan what you're gonna teach, right? So you have to say, oh, I'm gonna integrate this, they did a great job in integrating into this assignment, this project, how I'm gonna evaluate, what's satisfactory, what is development. So without this information, if we collect the data at the end, I think collect a bunch of garbage, because it's not gonna be relevant.
So, one other thing we should
One
do
moment,
is.
Bill had some.
Are we allowed to have the same questions for all sections of a given course?
Whatever way you want to do it. We do not control what you decide for your course.
All sections of a course. So that way, that would be more, what's the word?
So that's kind of where I was gonna go too. I mean, we talked about the objectives of the course, but yet the
Oh,
PIs
you can
and
hear
and
the
things
Bill
are
finish, he
are
gets
aligned
upset
with
if
that.
he gets interrupted. I know.
That happens all.
So-
No, I mean to say that I am a part-time instructor, but I'm here like the whole day. So that way, all the part-time instructors will say, these are the indicators that we have decided, someone has decided we're going to be using for all sections of this course. So it'll be more uniform. And the other thing that the university makes people do is they make this little video, and they say, you're teaching here, you have to complete this training video. So if we made a little training video for each person who's teaching a section of a course, then we would say, because all these were great ideas. When I saw Paul's idea, when I saw Anand's idea, Yintian's idea, I said, okay, if I'm teaching that course, 131, I have to watch this little training video, and then you have to check off that you've seen it, and we could submit that to ABET and say, everybody who teaches this course has to see this training video, and we use those questions in the way we're evaluating our course. We, of course, are free to teach in a way, whatever way we wish, but at least, right, we all know what we're aiming for. Because right now, like 120, it's just all over the board, right? I mean, some people are doing things like, inventory systems for, for a theater, and, from all over the place, right? So I think it would be better if we all were doing the same thing for the evaluation questions.
So to
Is that
answer,
what 131 did? And then, I saw you have
yeah,
a
so the.
same, like 131?
Yeah.
Yes.
To answer your question, Will, I cannot, me as a colleague, I cannot impose on you to include that in your exam. So I can ask you if you want to include it, and you will feel like, because, I don't know, because I'm full-time, I have more rights. So if you want to have uniform team teaching, that would be perfect, would be more uniform. But we cannot impose on anyone, include that question. At other universities, they do it that way, but for us, if you want to include that type of question, and if you want to repeat that question multiple semesters, it's up to you who want to do it. As far as training videos, so we have submitted NCWIT requests for, not request, asking for some money in order to have some videos for the department. If you look at our website, it's a shame. This is not a website for computer science department. Having these videos, we are very happy to tape ourselves. The problem would be that we don't have a structured way of doing it. So it's not about asking money to do that, it's just about having day-to-day things to take care of. So for now, all this training video will be in a bunch, will be distributed. So if you want to know your part with 120, 131, you may have to scroll through the video. If we have someone willing to spend some time to crop it on individuals, that will be great. If you have a student project to crop the current today's video, that's another great idea. But when I came here in 2015, and I mentioned to my colleagues that at UNLV, this is what they do. When they do assessment, there is an assessment chair who said, these are the questions which you need to ask in equivalent of 120, 121, 131. The reply was that it infringes on academic freedom. So, I'm all okay with it, but again,
Well, that's okay. The problem is that if you have to think of it yourself, it's infringing on our time,
yeah.
right? So I have to think of what will match with
Yeah.
everyone else to keep everyone happy. And it takes a lot of time.
I know.
Whereas if I see, something that Etienne or Anna has done, I don't have to agree with it, but it will give me a better idea of how I can come close to that. But I would tend to use.
So last semester when Anna mentioned that we graded the final exams, we did the team grading. And after we finished grading, then we identify what needs to be scanned. And each of us took care of whatever part needs to be done. So we did it, because we were able to do everything fast. We started probably at 2 and we finished by 6, which was really good. Sorry, Thomas, you had a question?
Yeah, no, I wanted to follow up on that, because I think it is important, the consistency across the different sections. It starts with the description and the selection of the objectives of the course, right? We each create our own syllabus, and we're each making that up to some degree, and to know the performance indicators, and to put that into the course catalog, put that into the descriptions that we have, so we know, we all have that thing. I think that's a piece missing, and I really stress it, his idea, it's very important for us to know what to aim at,
Yes.
especially across the sections. I'd like to see.
So, some of you will be, look, how many of the part-time faculty were able to make it today? How many were willing to make it today? So if you think that this is a way to go, the assessment committee will be happy to provide you with sample questions, sample solution, course objective. If someone wants to take it, that's fine. If you don't want to take it, you can still develop yours. But keep in mind, Abbott is looking, the way I see it, that Abbott is looking at every detail. And as the assessment committee, we have to give them the general overview. We have to present what we are doing well and what we are not doing so well. And you are helping us. And there is no way for us to reward you other than saying that thank you for your work and thank you for volunteering your time. Yes, Beth?
So there's a couple of things that I'm seeing that we're talking about that seems like we can collaborate across sections or collaborate as a unit. One of the things is we already have shared Google Docs that we all have access to, and it may be something where we could start establishing a document for each course, and in each course we would have what the objectives are, the performance indicators for each course, and then some recommendations that we could make that people could essentially cut and paste into documents if they decided they wanted to use it. It would create consistency, and it would still allow for people to have academic freedom to adjust or assess the language if they wanted. And also would allow for those of us who sometimes don't find out we're teaching a particular course until the nth hour, it might give us an opportunity to have something consistent to know in advance what we were needing to assess. So if it's a new course, or the course has changed in the 2 years we haven't taught it, and we come back to it and the PIs are different, that would be something where when you got your assignment, it would have a link to these documents, and then we would have some consistency. That's the suggestion. Yeah, exactly.
I also wanted to address another point, which you brought up, so what's your name?
Joe?
Joe, yeah. I think you also brought up a good point that, you folks get a lot of email, and you have trouble separating wheat from the chaff, so maybe one thing which we can do is we can, in the subject, we can prefix all the assessment emails, like with assessment. You all been here, now you know it's important. Also, another thing I wanted to bring up, if at any point you have any technical issues, if the Google form isn't submitting whatever, please, let us know, because one thing that I learned is that some people said, I got a permission error, so I just figured I cannot do it, and I just...
Us, you mean specifically you?
Yes.
It could be me, it could be Dwayne, I mean, I'm the technical guy, so basically, whatever you send them will trickle down to me, so yeah.
Let's just send to him.
Just send it to me, yeah. Just send it to me, we're here to help you, please don't be hostile toward us.
So what happened is that I did the Google Forms, but he did the back end of the script. And if there was any issue with the script, then Mikael. But if it's anything like Sean, for example, got an extra performance indicator because I forgot to, so I had a very large 35 performance indicator Google Doc, and I would cross out whatever was not in that course, and I would duplicate it for the next course. And once in a while I would forget. So you get that, and then if it does not sound right, say, why do I have to measure that? So the Google Forms, I can do it, but everything else, it's Mikael's included report.
So basically, whenever you have an issue with filling on the data, send it to the department chair, anyone basically. Then I will definitely figure out a way then comment it back to Mikael.
Yeah, we'll definitely be happy to help you in any way we can. We can help you through email, I can have a Zoom meeting with you. We can sit down sometime and I can actually show you how to do it. In my experience, every time when faculty were willing to do that, there is not a single case we weren't able to resolve.
Joe?
I just want to give you an experience. When I perform the assessment for my class, usually we are assigned advance one semester advance. So probably not for part-time. So I understand that. So in that case, I usually use the link already given from the committees, assessment committees. And so if you go there and then you can see this mapping table, so you can check your class you teach and you can see all the PIs you need to concern about. So when you build your syllabus, you can consider this to incorporate. So I think probably this, if you work for a long time, it's easy to find out this information. But if we are new here, probably we will provide that kind of link.
So I'm also learning and chair to start my chair work with.
Right.
So it's primarily me and Dr. Choi is responsible to communicate with adjunct faculty members that teach on.
I think one thing we can do, and that's her suggestion, because for us, if we teach this every year, I think that will be sufficient. But we have a new faculty, a new part-timer, the first time, and so I think what we can do is maybe, since we have an owner for each undergraduate course, right? So we can, give a more, detailed guideline, the performance indicator, the course objective, and create some sort of like a template for each course, and so you use it to send a reference. So make it easier. So even you just got the notice 2 weeks before the semester, you have some idea. And if the faculty teaching are willing to share, maybe we can have a sample syllabus.
So we have, all we have now is that it's a link which tells, there is a link with all the courses which are measured. And then, because we cannot go, and they said, if you want to know what are the performance indicators, click on that link. So if you click on 120, you have a separate document which says performance indicators and the 3 categories. So we have that one. We can add to it with the course objective and something. So that's already set. Now the problem becomes that this semester we have to, we will measure the same performance indicators. We may shrunk the performance indicators for a course. We have to do all the remapping for ABAP, for WASC, and we may have to change the description for some categories because the performance indicators, they always say that, they don't make sense. So we are 6 in the assessment committee, so we have a lot of work to do. We are expecting by the end of October to be done with the mapping of the performance indicators. So it's a good idea to send just the map itself so that everyone will know what it is. On that map, we can put, because look, it's a Google Doc, we can put links to the individual performance indicators. The course objective, I think we can do it by November. I don't think we'll be able to do that. Like we will be, currently, if you are teaching a core course, expect that you will be doing either this semester or next semester. And there is a list of courses which they are measuring this semester. For example, 120 does it this semester. 121 does it next semester. 131 does it in spring. 335 does it in spring. 351 does it in spring. 440, I believe it's this semester, so I don't have access, but I can tell you when you are supposed to report the data. So if you have never taught the course, then we will be sending an email with the old or the new performance indicator. It's coming before your midterm exam, hopefully by then.
And also we are developing a data collection schedule, right? And so you will know in advance, you need to provide data. I guess not all the courses need to provide data.
No, we do not need sample work from everyone. If you do team teaching and if one person provides sample, EBET wants to see sample from that course. I don't want to see sample from a particular section. If you are the solely instructor for a particular course, which means that you are teaching 3 sections or 4 sections of the same course, you need to provide from one section. Of course, it will be nice to have for everything, but it's also your time. So if you have numbers, we need the numbers, but samples we need it from at least one section. Does it make sense? Numbers from everything, then samples from one section. Then again, yes.
So say that again, I'm not sure I understood
So,
that. If
let's-
I'm teaching 2 sections, I only need to put in data for one
No,
of them?
no, data from everything, sample from one,
Data like the number of satisfactory.
from all the sections. But
So I
the
can't-
sample solution, only from
Scan
one,
sample just one.
just one section, for all the performance indicators.
If I have 2 sections of 20 students, I put in 2 entries, each one having 20, not one
Depends.
entry with 40 students.
So depends. What happened in the past was that for my classes, when one semester I taught 3 sections of 131, and I put data for each section. And Dr. Workman taught 2 sections of 335, and he puts the data together for both sections. We need your data. Without data, we cannot see how we are doing with the student learning objectives. The samples are just for EBET in case they want to see. But the data needs to be reported. Now, 120 and 121 have special situations because they have classes and they have labs. So let's say that you have a single lecture which has 4 sections, correct? Then you can put that data together. If you are teaching 351 or upper level courses, then the sections are clear cut. If you are teaching lower level courses, the sections are not clear cut. As long as you provide data from all the students who have been face to face, that's good enough for us. And let's say I don't find section 1, but I find a lot of people when you put section 1. When you get an email saying that your data is missing, say, look, I put all the data in there. So that's the reason I see your email address once instead of having its data. Now, do not report data for the students who have not taken an exam. So let's say you start the class with 30 students, and by the end of the semester you have 20. You report the data for 20 students, only the students who have been assessed. And that is a little trickier because sometimes you put 0 to be a measure of unsatisfactory. If the student has not answered that question, but the student came to the exam, that means that his answer is 0. But if the student did not show up at the exam, you do not measure him. You understand? Yes. David.
Like, how do you rectify like the data from different sections? Let's say that like Will and I are teaching the same course but different sections. We're not doing team teaching.
We are pulling all the data. We do just simply addition.
Right, but let's say that I think Will is being too harsh on his students and
We don't
demanding a
care.
lot, and I'm being very, very easy or something.
We
or
don't
vice
care.
versa.
All we do is we collect our data. We do not do any mean average or anything like that.
But
The
how
data,
does the average work though? if,
No,
like,
we are
you're
not doing
standardized?
average.
this is just like any data analysis, there will always be noise.
Right.
But when you do this for a long time, it's an indicator. So we'll show something, so sometimes, it's biased, it's the definition or the criteria may be inconsistent, so there will always be noise. But when you put all of it together, you do this all the time, and this gives you the trend, show, where we have problem. So just like any data, it's not going to be ideal.
Okay.
So we're looking for statistics, not just
Yeah.
individual specific numbers.
Right.
Statistics are meaningful.
So let's say that we see that there are a lot of unsatisfactory, 240 for hardware, a lot of unsatisfactory. We do not look at what instructor is, we just sum up all the numbers and we see that we have 25% unsatisfactory. Could be that Will is very harsh and you are very generous, it does not matter. There is a problem with that section or with that performance indicator, there are a lot of unsatisfactory, therefore we communicate either to the instructors or we should communicate. I have all the intention to communicate, saying they are not doing well on that. Also another indicator which was not discussed and not measured is the EPP exam. We are measuring the EPP exam as well, which is a pass and failure of that, which is not included because it's EPP exam is not taken by the instructor. That is also a measure which is included for WOSC. I don't think we do it for ABET, for WOSC, the university assessment. So we are looking at different, we do not want to be busybody. We have a lot of data, but luckily we have, thanks to Mikhail, we have tools to not do a lot of computation. The part which we need to do this semester is look in earnest at our data and to see how we can change. What do we need to improve in our teaching? Again, we are not doing enough programming in 120, 121. We should do more programming. It was also discussing the EPP exam to be moved earlier because the students fail the exam but they do not have enough feedback to correct it. So Abbott asked us, I see Abbott as a necessary evil. It asked us to look at the data and it asked us to see how we can assess the students because we will have a continuously increasing number of students. And unless we have a system to do it, we will be unable to hunt individual particular problems.
Yeah, and just to be clear, to add on what Duina said, it's not our job to actually recommend fixes to the problems that we identified. That goes to the undergrad committee, it goes to the other committees in the department. We're here just to collect data. We're not the people who fix things. We're the ones who collect data to help identify the problems. And then
Data
dispatch
will
others.
show the signal.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So what's the story behind that? That is, we have to go back to.
We're the sensors, not the actuators.
Yes, Sean.
Actually, I had some experience talking to the people that in last review. So basically, what they want to look at if you have spent enough time, you are really doing it. That's number one. So if they don't see anything is done, then they want to, just don't give very good evaluation on that. And then number two is they are picky on inconsistency. Because they have little time and they read through it. Number one, they want to make sure you do something, right? Number two, they want to make sure you are really doing it. It's not like you are making it up. Because if they found any inconsistency in your data, they are thinking you are making the data up. Because why there can be inconsistency, right? Why you are doing it, then this data should be consistent in what you really are doing. So in that case, it means that sometimes more may not be better. Meaning that you want to present in every detail that is very consistent. So you cannot present, make time to do all the three sections, do one of them in a very consistent way. So that when they read it, they really not got upset. If they have a lot to read and then, when they start reading something, they found something that is not consistent, then they got upset. They say, oh wow, I have to read all this and you are not even serious, making it easy for me to read. So that's how I got, so it's something, I don't know, it's just
There's one principle, Shani, I think if I serve as chair, we don't play game. If you play game, what's the point? I don't do this. Because there's being professional, you can always play data. make up data, so just, we're really doing it. Whatever, may not be the best, maybe some part we have a weakness, but we are doing it. We can't, like, Sean pointed out, I know a lot of assessment, a lot of appraisal, they make up data. And then it's become a game, there's no improvement. Then, I don't see we're gonna do that.
So in summer of 2016, Alan, Michael and I was ones to practically work like slaves to send the AVET report, to create the AVET report which was sent by the department. As a result of that, they said that the assessment is not a problem with the department. So James had to start everything from scratch in fall 2015. He had to practically direct new hire to do this work. We started with Google Docs, we continue with Google Docs, maybe Dropbox is better, maybe some other software is better. Maybe you guys have some idea, maybe you have a student project which we can do it. Whatever way we do it, we need to be able to collect the data, make the data available to the faculty only. And because if AVET comes in 2020 and they say we are not doing well, then the chair gets grilled, then the full-time faculty gets grilled, and then the committee members get grilled.
The department chair, not the assessment chair.
So it is, AVET will not give us no accreditation. They may give us things to do, which will, and these things, as I shared with you, took us a couple of months in summer. So that summer we did not have it. So someone else, which will be a new hire, probably will not have that summer. So we try to set up mechanisms such that we minimize our effort in the long run. And Will is right. So instead of wasting his time or abusing his time to do that, I can impose on him to give extra data. We just want to make sure that you do not see us as the police dog chasing, but in the end, if you don't have your data, then we get ourselves killed by someone else. Sorry to say that, yes.
One other suggestion is that a lot of students are weak at programming, and we see it over and over again. And one of the things I hear is people come in and say, I have a Chromebook, so I can't run what I need to do without PowerPoint. But I have a desktop at home. So I tell them they should use Chrome and Load Desktop to load into their home computer, and then they can just use that.
Yeah.
But I was just wondering if, does the department have servers that they can use Microsoft Remote Desktop or Chrome Remote Desktop into? Because if they have...
We cannot have that because of ID.
Because of what?
ID. So I believe I told you that there is this server, Titan V, which is a super powerful CPU server. They can SSH and they can do stuff. I asked whether you can use some GUI interface to do that, and they say no, ID will not allow.
Not allowed.
So if you want to have maybe, like getting a server to be publicly SSH from the outside, took me 2 months of IT approving it. And that was the time when, before Michael, when he did the server, there was no question. After that, they asked me, why do you want to have this server there? Because you can use the data center, blah, blah, blah. So eventually, after 2 months, I got it approved. Anything which is not the department not willing to do it. IT, if you want to buy a Raspberry Pi, to use it for your student research, you need approval from the IT. Like it's that level. They need to approve any piece of equipment which goes through. As anything opening, they see it as a security issue, and if it's a security issue, they shut down the server and no one can ever access. So for now, we are just minimizing cost.
Yeah, just a quick thing. The only thing that we sort of have a stopgap for that is the university has a long-term laptop rental thing that seems to be effective.
But they're not that powerful, and the other problem is that there's a limit, so they're like out. They're out.
So far in my 121 class, it seems to work, but again, it depends on what we need. Perhaps in other courses.
If they do it soon,
yeah.
they can get it.
Yeah.
And once again, I think this will be more question for IRC rather than us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are, we're just collecting data, we're not, you know, the fixers. So the right place to be IRC. That's
So do
the,
you have any need or support or anything you will need for your assessment workforce, just to accompany them or something?
You need money, resources?
Nikhil is right. RC, any equipment you have needs for your teaching. Once in a while, the dean has a pool of money, and if we don't move fast, then computer engineering gets it. So, I know, we don't have anyone, I'm suggesting the meeting. Yes?
Back on assessment. If we want to, say, comment on the latest round of PIs,
Okay.
to whom do we speak?
You can speak to B.
Yeah,
He's
thank you.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna work with you.
I-
Please email me, you know,
Okay.
in October. Because you have to interpret the indicator, you see if it's reasonable, if you have any idea to improve, even to replace,
Yes.
anything goes. Please, you can email to me.
Okay.
And what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna work with Dwayne, we're gonna come up with a draft, then we're gonna have the assessment committee review it. I think we also have everybody else review it. And, because this is important, obviously, we can't change this all the time, right? So if every time we have change, I will change all the things. So, please.
You cannot ask, can I have the PI removed? You can ask like Kevin did.
Yeah.
I'm not teaching it, it doesn't make sense to it, and then we will remove it.
So the principle is, if you don't think it's good, fix it. You don't want to fix, don't suggest, follow it. Do it.
I suggested several times to the assessment committee, and they accommodated my peers.
Because we have to be very careful. And now with the new habit, we may need to get rid of that PI. How do we work on it, whatever it is?
Can I make a
Yes.
suggestion? Yeah. in the
One moment. There will be no ABET data collected over the summer. So if you teach the summer course, that is self-supported, it's not part of the regular semester. So no ABET data, yes.
Yeah, when we first actually designed PI several years ago, we are trying to look at course and say, how many PI this course can accept. We are looking for the maximum. But I think that because they reduce a lot more the student learning outcome, so I think it's probably better that we limit the PI. So even though this course may be able to access the 5 PI, for every course, maybe 2-3 PI, just try to focus on 2 or 3. And so that we don't give any instructor too much to do. Because you end up with a course where you have 5 PI, then you're going to have a lot to do. So just limit to 2 PI unless it's absolutely not necessary. Say, okay, there's no other course as this PI, you have to do it, then you increase that to 3. So limit to 2 if it's possible. And now another thing is that every PI should be accessed at least in 2 different courses.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
have overlap there. So you don't have one course where you only, this PI is only accessed here.
Sure.
Now, if data cannot be collected, we have a problem.
Yeah.
Then we have one PI that is totally missing. Okay, so let's try 2 or, at most 3, and then try to have a 2 course access every PI.
Yeah,
And
so,
we'll see how it goes.
So what we have is that for each performance indicator, we have, let's call it introduction and then a master course. And then we try to move as many of those into the exit survey. Because we knew that the exit survey, we reach a maximum number of students. We also try to have this PI, they need to be spread out towards the terminal courses because Abbott wants to know how the students are doing at the end of their graduation. They kind of want to know what is, but they are measuring student success at the end. So that's the reason the terminal courses have a lot, because there is no course, when we say terminals about the requirement. We also try to not have PIs in courses which generally were taught by part-timers, because we said, look, full-timers, we know that we are paid more, therefore we can measure more. The only exceptions were 362, which is taught a lot by part-timers, but because 362 is such an important course, and now with the new ABET becomes even more important course, we had to measure a lot of stuff over there. So, but otherwise, as you see, 120 has very few because it's at the beginning, 121 has one more, so 120 has 2, 121 has 3. So not a lot because it's at the beginning. Doesn't mean that you should try to teach those courses whether they are less performance indicators, but we looked in earnest to see how you can, we had 35. 35 times 2, that means that we had to measure 70. And we have a list of, I don't know, 11 courses. So now we see how we can reduce that because Abbott now wants less math, less physics, but more practical and senior design projects. So that means that if you are teaching a course in which it's heavily in programming or software design, you may end up with more indicators because this is the new Abbott.
Yeah, actually, this is something I just, almost like 20 minutes ago, I raised my hand. The one thing I want to say is that stop part-timer and full-time. Okay, in this we are all together.
No, of course we are.
So when you send out the link and notice, send to everyone,
Yes.
just full-time, part-time, let's say. Because I assume that some course, one of part-time is the best instructor for that course. I have experience like, well, is he part-timer? He was associate dean before, he was full-time, so we don't do that kind of distinction. So try to, I think there's some debate before, but right now try to, don't talk about that too much, like part-time, full-time. We're all here together. And we have to work together, yeah.
I want to amplify something that you're saying, John, and I think it's important. I think we are all being asked to provide data, and that's important for the reporting that we're trying to do for the report. But I think that the full-time faculty have an opportunity to hear and see what that data is saying and what the patterns are that emerge, and then make curricular changes. Sometimes that communication might be enhanced to the rest of us that are teaching so that we can understand why something maybe is amiss or why something is working. So understanding what is working and what isn't working and what those patterns are in a report out to those of us that are not in the curriculum meetings might be also useful as an additional communication so that we understand what we're reporting, what's happening, and why curricularly we want to be changing our course.
So one thing I'll promise you, I think Joe's point, and anytime if we have some analysis like that, I'm not going to send an email because nobody knows me. The chair, or president, will send that to everyone. And so we will like to have feedback from everyone. In part of I think, Tom, I've been working many years as an architect for RISIA. That's a very valuable, I wish, that would be a very valuable experience for a student. So you see, how, to do the real thing. So, and also you understand the general method of principle and also you apply it in a certain context. I think that would be very, very valuable to our student. I'm sure student will benefit from those type of experience. And sometimes we may not be able to provide.
Are there any of the full-timers teaching 311?
No.
No, that's what I thought. The only time all the 311 instructors got together, or at least 4 of us, was at a meeting over on writing across the curriculum, and there were some interesting topics, and we thought that the department should know about it, particularly the 311 instructors.
No, I'm wrong.
Huh?
311 was taught in summer by Michael.
Oh, I know, yeah.
But not during the regular semester.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about right now.
No.
Yeah.
311 has been, so, I
There's
can,
good people doing it, I'm not,
no,
I'm
I'm not,
confident,
so
I'm not worried about that.
I
but-
speak in terms of myself.
Uh,
When they hired me, they told me teaching, research, and service. So in order to get research, that means that you have to work with students.
Yeah.
So if you teach 311, what are the chances for you to have a student project?
Pretty close to zero.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm teaching courses where I know that there is a chance for me to have a student.
No, I'm not complaining. I'm just trying to assess where are we?
So we have to really rely on the adult faculty members' contribution. And
Yeah.
I also agree that majority of our course are taught by thankfully the adult faculty. But then, so it's very important to receive feedback and suggestion to improve our curriculum. And also, I hope you also understand us, scheduling a meeting with the adult faculty member, because they also have their own busy schedule too. This is also very challenging for us. So when I reach out to you, then hopefully you can spare some time to come to our department, have a meeting, and we'll be happy
No,
to.
you're doing a great job. I fell off my chair when you sent out that email to us saying, is there anything that can help you get to help you teach your course? I'm not used to that.
Any support you need, I'm not, we don't have $1 million, but definitely I will try my best to provide any support you need for your course. And anything to improve our student learning, that's really a good job, you have to do it.
Yes.
So, I have 3 questions. Hopefully they're really quick, and maybe you have touched on it. Is there any correlation to the number of entries to the number of students registered? For example, you want data. I have 30 kids who took the test, 32 are registered. Any correlation between that?
So we collect the data, number of students in the class, and number of students assessed.
No, I think just like the number of students assessed.
Number of students assessed, that's all.
So no comparison.
Okay.
No, so.
Okay,
now-
second question.
No. So you start the question, let me dig more. So we collect the number of students assessed. And then Kevin pointed that out to me. So you are collecting how many students you have assessed, correct? It's a yes. How many students have been assessed in a project? It's not necessarily how many students have been assessed in the final exam. So when Anand was preparing code, he showed that we have collected number of students doing code, and then the other performance indicator was the final exam. We do not have the same numbers.
Good,
Yeah.
good.
So and Kevin asked, how do you solve that? And I said, very simple. I add how many students are in unsatisfactory, developing, and satisfactory category for each of these performance indicators. I give percentages. So the number of students assessed, it's something which I tell you for all the courses. And they say, we have assessed in 335, 70 students. But for the performance indicators, that number does not play a role. Because I look at the numbers for individual numbers. Because of the things that you can assess in an exam, you can assess in a project, some students show up for the project, so you don't come for the exam. Second question.
I had 20 students who took a test.
Yes.
Some of them, let's assume because time ran out, whatever,
Yes.
didn't answer the question I had picked to assess.
Yes.
Right? So 20 took the test, 18 replied, and I distributed my satisfactory, unsatisfactory, whatever, among the 18. Are you looking for a 20 or an 18
20.
total?
Because this is like a paper exam in which the student do not have time to answer that question or they do not know.
That's
So-
a 0, I guess.
That will be 0. If the student did not start the exam, if the student did not connect to take the exam, no. But if the student had started the exam, it's like he had received a paper exam and he did not give an active. So answer will be 20.
So let me ask it a slightly different way. So if I said, there's 12 questions, pick any 10 to answer for your test.
Oh my God.
You make me trouble.
You decide how to do it.
So my concern there is trying to put an assessment when you need a response. So what you're asking for is treat that as a 0? Did I get that right?
Depends. So if you have a student again, so let's say that you have 20 questions and you ask them to answer 10, but you will have to decide that 10 questions answered, independent on the content of the question, will be satisfactory. And 8 questions answered will be, you decide. But so right now we have a question tied up to a student, and we have student, he must answer that question. If a student does not need to answer that question, that you will have to make a decision, what will be the way you define a satisfactory.
In that case, you just say, these 2 questions you must answer.
Yes.
Right. And then the rest, choose.
That will be an option, but it's the instructor decision how to do it, because we never had the intention of controlling what you do. We have the data which you have recorded, and if you put the data that everyone is unsatisfactory, then and you are the only instructor for that course, then we end up that saying
There's a problem,
these
yeah.
students. No, it's not a problem with the instructor, it's a problem with the students. Therefore, the next generation, which is, because you are not going back to the same students, they don't take the course again. You need to do something.
And last one, real quick. I saw a lot of guidelines for the rubrics. Are those rubrics collected or just?
No,
ours?
the rubrics are defined in the form. So if you click on the Google form for you to complete, the rubric there says, it's that, for me was horizontal, because the horizontal line, you have it, in the moment you have taught a course, remember I said it's a list of courses, you click on that link and the rubric is there for you. So Thomas, you teach 121, what are you teaching?
120.
Let's say you teach 120. So you will click the link 120 and it tells you these are the two performance indicators and these are the rubrics. But when after the final exam, I believe in January, when you have to collect the data, you click on a separate link to submit the data. And it tells you how many students have, let's say, code performance indicator. It defines what code is, how many have been developing, and then you have a description. So you do not have the rubric anymore, you have the description for each of them.
Okay, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah. And then
You don't want to know how I assessed it was satisfactory.
Yes, and those are not add up. So whenever we make changes, like for example, when David suggested changes for that, we have to go back to change the, in the individual form, we have to go back in the descriptor, and we have to go back to change it also in the table. Because we do not have a big software to do it, we just have it in 3 or 4 separate places. And sometimes we forget to do it. So you still have the old description. So if there is any inconsistency, let us know, because we don't have a check mark.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No?
I would like to thank you for all of the effort of assessment team. It's a totally volunteer job, so I really appreciate it. To help you, of course, we have to submit the whole data on time. And is there anything else we can help you?
Yeah, so we have not processed the data from last semester, so if you are delinquent on that data, or if you don't have the link, please let me know. Probably this month we'll be looking back in the past, and because I was chair last semester, it will be my responsibility to look back in the past and to see which data is missing. Bill, I still have your data and I still have to put it in the system. So if you get a message that you are delinquent, it's me being delinquent on it. So I have 3-4 messages which I have my RTP on Monday, which I have to take care of it. We need the data from last year to look at the statistics. The moment the statistics are done, everyone, full-time, part-time, gets an email, these are the statistics. You click on that link, you see Mikhail's beautiful aggregator followed by another one which is the data, and you can see for each course, we remove the name of the instructor, where we are doing well and where we are not doing so well, so that you can decide yourself in the future which courses you would like to teach.
I have like 2 things to add, if we can do the following. And one, since some of you already submit data, you already have some number in your own class, like satisfactory. If you can somehow, send us some suggestions how you might improve, just use the data in your own class. So what can be done to improve? I think that would be great, because that would be part of the use of data. This is number one. And number two, we already mentioned this, again, feedback. The PIs see, if you see a need to any improvement, replacement, whatever, because we also have to consider how to collect. Some of data is great, but it's very difficult, spend a lot of time to collect data. Is there a better alternative? There's an ROI associated with that. And I say we have these 2 things, I think that would be great. So you have all, the feedback outweigh the committee for sure. We look at all the suggestions. And, that also will be part of the loop, right? Closing the loop, that will be part of the using the data.
And also, because it's very difficult to meet together, so you occasionally have to come to the department, right, to teach. So just in case, then if you have some idea, then you have no time to send your opinion to anyone, then stop by my office.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah, give me your suggestion, how then deliver your opinion to the assessment committee.
Okay.
Anyway.
Thank you very much.